Our next honoree, Tal Brody, Israel's first modern-day sports hero. In 1965, he led his team to a gold medal at the Maccabi Games in Israel. A year later, he accepted an offer to join the Maccabi Tel Aviv basketball team. And in 1967, Tal was named Israel's Sportsman of the Year. From 1968 to 1970, Tal served in the United States Army. After finishing his service in 1970, he returned to Israel and made Aliyah. He became a citizen of Israel. In 1979, he was awarded the Israeli Prize, the Israel Prize, the country's highest civilian honor. In the New York Times supplement celebrating Israel's 60th birthday, Tal was named one of the 10 most influential Americans who impacted Israel. Today, he serves as chairman of the Spirit of Israel organization, which raises money to support children at risk programs in Israel. Tal also is a member of the International Maccabi Committee, president of the B'nai Hezbollah, forgive me if I didn't pronounce that right, sports organization, and he has a whole lot of other awards and accolades. Please join me in welcoming Tal Brody. And New York Knicks president Scott O'Neal will do the presentation. Tal Brody, of course, is captain of the Israeli basketball team they played. Did they win, by the way? Who won? Everybody won. Okay, fine, everybody won. And Coach Ted Gustus will also make the presentation.
It is absolutely an honor to be here to talk basketball and sports. Wow. After 37 years of coaching basketball, one of my dear friend and mentor, Mr. Red Sarachek, who was one of the first coaches at Yeshiva University at that time, and Yeshiva went on to win the NITs and so forth. And it was such an interesting thing when I get the opportunity to speak about the bond, talking about words of bond, try basketball and bonding. Well, the Jewish communities, and particularly the African-American communities, for 40 years I was in Brownsville, Brooklyn. And I don't know if y'all are familiar with Brownsville, but it created some of the greatest athletes, basketball players out of there. And it all started and beginning with the Jewish community. And then, of course, we kind of meshed and came in. So it's always a pleasure to be among someone who dedicated his life to the game of sports. And we're talking about team together, everyone achieves miracles. Well, this is a miracle right here, and it's such a great thing to see this team put together. So I'm honored to present this award to you.
It's a real honor for me to be here today. I thank you very much. It's an honor to be the guest of the New York Knicks. For 15 years, we're trying to get a game against the Knicks after playing the Lakers, the Clippers, Miami Heat, Philadelphia 76ers, and to be back in Madison Square Garden after 2 years ago, Isaiah Thomas granted us the first time, and the first time that the New York Knicks gave a game that will be a charity game for children at risk in Israel. And it's a beautiful thing to do. I had the honor of hosting Allen Houston in Israel a month ago and being at a Shabbat dinner at the King David in Jerusalem. And it was beautiful to see him wearing a kippah and giving the blessings on Shabbat, him and his wife Tamara. And believe it or not, he was even thinking of staying in Israel for a year to play basketball. His knee can go, not every day with the New York Knicks, but with the European Championships, one time a week playing, it's not that bad. With Harley Lipman and with Bill Tinglin, I met about 3 months ago. And it's the first time I got to know what Words of Bond was. And it was when I was here with that group that Harley said, a group of boys, 16 to 18 years old, that for 8 years had over 8,000 rockets being shot over them. And the way they explained it, and the American public got to know what was happening in Israel, is when they said, when they're in the middle of a basketball game, how would you feel when you have a red alert? How would you feel today if you have a red alert in Madison Square Garden and all the players start running to try to get near a wall? And you imagine how the people in the crowd have to react. And this is the way they explain the situation in Israel. And when they read the Goldstone report, it turns out they say that we're the aggressors. When we played 2 teams in the States, and I'm going to finish with this. We played Darryl Dawkins and Bob Harley's and Ed Bright's team in New Jersey, St. Anthony's that were 6th in the United States. And we lost 20 points in a respectable way in one of the most disciplined teams that I have seen in my life. When you talk about education, it was unbelievable to see that team on the court. And we played Martin Luther King Jr. High School here in New York. And as we're walking into the gymnasium, I don't know if the guys understood that we understand English in Israel. And so the guys were talking, and then he said, hey, look at that. They recruited one of our brothers, and they even put a yarmulke on his head to make him look Jewish. Well, they didn't know that we had Ethiopian Jews in Israel. And we had a boy, Shalom, that's an Ethiopian Jew. You might say that he's African-Israeli, which we have quite a lot of Ethiopian Jews in Israel. And it was a great education for everybody to know that we're all together like today. And I thank you very much.
Also, of course, we have a host of what they said hardwood. So we want to make sure that he let him know that there are proclamations, and of course from Mr. Congressman Towns. And of course you have here from the borough president, Marty Markowitz. Okay, and we just keep going, and we right here, the Ruben Diaz from the borough president of the Bronx, which would be great. And then of course we have something here, the certificate of recognition from Mr. Stringer from Manhattan Borough President. Okay.